What's the most real relationship advice you can give? It's fine to not always want to spend 100% of your time with your spouse. Not every moment of every day is going to be bliss, and sometimes it really takes some effort. I love my wife to bits, but there are some days when I would just like to do things by myself. It doesn't mean our relationship isn't great, but it can be really refreshing to just take a stroll around a shopping center, or go and get some food alone or something. This 100%. My spouse goes weekly to a Pathfinder game. That's his alone time. I occasionally go to a punk show or have a beer with my friends. It can be even simpler. I will go read a book in the other room and get my alone time. He likes to cook, so he'll start up in the kitchen and I stay away while he listens to his music. Everyone needs alone time. Don't lose yourself as an individual in a relationship. Happened to me. Where were you 10 years ago? But would we have listened 10 years ago? Intimacy is way more important than most people realize. Like I've told my wife. Yeah, sure, there's lust involved. There's also interest in making your partner feel good as well. If that interest isn't there, your partner might as well be a sex toy for all they mean to you. When you disagree, remember that you're on the same team. You're supposed to fight a problem, not the other person. Don't expect the other person to be able to read your mind. Be a team, not opponents. Everybody farts at some point. Number 3 has been a hard thing for me during my current relationship. My so has a colostomy bag after battling colon cancer, which has been a huge learning experience in itself. I'm all for being comfortable with the body and all of its weird, icky processes, and I'm usually quick to make that known, but knowing that he physically can't fart makes me reluctant to do it around him. Like I don't want to be a show off, ya know? Flaunt it if you got it, I guess. Flaunulence. Communication is the foundation upon which everything else is built. They say don't go to bed angry, not because anger does something while you're sleeping, but because it means you didn't communicate properly and you're giving up on trying. Be calm, actively listen. Do not dismiss your partner's statements. Assume good faith. It's you and me versus the problem, not me versus you. If something's bugging you, talk to your so about it. If you feel enraged about something, wait until you're well fed, well rested, with warm extremities before talking about it, but talk about it at the first opportunity. Calmly, rationally, and honestly. Keep the discussion limited to that one narrow thing. If something's bugging your so, hear them out. Never think, well, I'm not bothered by that, so it's not a problem. Think my so is bothered by this, and that's a problem. If you think the concern is unreasonable, frame the discussion as solving the problem of your so as being unhappy. The worst fights and arguments happen over trivial things, because it's not the trivial thing that's actually causing the problem. It's probably a series of things, or a general lack of satisfaction, and the toothpaste cap being left off is just the instigator of the fight. If you communicate often and openly, these things will not fester, they won't pile up, and you won't get into such fights. Your spouse isn't going to be perfect. You're not going to be perfect. There will be mistakes and misunderstandings. What really matters in a relationship is not being perfect, but how you handle the imperfections of yourself and your spouse in a respectful, reasonable way. Learning how to be bored together is important. You don't have to be on the go, doing stuff and planning stuff and being fun and exciting all the time. It's okay to just sit around and not do anything and not talk to each other. It's not unhealthy. I promise. This was one of the biggest things I learned when I moved in with my so, and what I give as advice to couples just moving in, especially when it's their first time living with and so. You have to learn how to be in the same room without actively hanging out together. When your whole relationship has been dates, it's hard to just be without feeling like you should be interacting. Getting comfortable just chilling there doing your own thing is a good thing. There's so much pressure to do stuff, especially in the age of social media. Other couples do stuff all the time. Everyone is looking for adventures. We must keep up with the carefully manufactured images other people put out on Instagram. In reality, it's not necessary and can often be a serious source of stress. My husband has been playing Ark all day. I've been on Reddit or playing The Sims. We watched a couple episodes of 10th Kingdom earlier and that's all we've done together today. We're in the same room, but we're not doing the same things. This is not a bad thing. It's called being comfortable together. There's a reason it's called the honeymoon phase, and eventually you won't have as much to talk about other than how the day went, or might not always feel those butterflies in your stomach when you think about them. That's when it becomes a test in the relationship and you both have to work on it to make it work. You will get into fights, but learn to get over them or I doubt it'll last. Resentment can kill feelings for someone. You trade butterflies for familiarity, excitement for comfort. Just entered a relationship with someone and the butterflies are starting to fade, only to be replaced by calmness. So I'm relieved to see your response. I love the comfort stage. The butterflies are great and all, but being in a constant state of infatuation will get exhausting after a few years. It's so nice to do absolutely nothing with your person, or not see them for a day or two if you don't live together, and still be completely content with them. In an ideal relationship, the contributions are 60-40, where both partners are the one trying to give 60%. My mum asked an elderly couple who had been married for decades what their secret was. They said that they act as if being nice to each other is a competition. That has always stuck with me. I have been married for 28 years. When I was engaged, a dear lady, then in her 80s and still very much in love with her husband of 60+ years, told me this: just because he is your husband, don't think he requires less regard than your friends. Before you yell at him for anything, ask yourself if you would yell at your friend for the same thing. What she was trying to say is that being married together is not a free pass to stop being a decent human being. You are going to get annoyed by the socks on the floor, but is it an excuse to fly off the handle? Respect and common courtesy are my recommendation. And you don't need to keep score. There's no winner. I can't upvote this enough. I see couples snap at one another all the time over the silliest stuff, and wonder how it must feel to be constantly on guard like that. Just be nice to each other. If you can't stand to be nice to each other, I mean, call it a day, man. Life is too short. Listen to them. Communicate with them. Compromise sometimes. Frick them regularly. To elaborate on compromise, it doesn't always mean something we'll both enjoy. At times it will very likely mean today we do something my partner likes and that I sparingly tolerate, but tomorrow that reverses. My ex refused to see that side of a compromise. I would see horror films with her, because to me spending time with her was more important than avoiding seeing a horror film. But if I wanted to see a film that she wouldn't like, asking her to see it with me was forcing her to do something she didn't want and was therefore unfair. And I can see why she's your ex. Fun drinking game. Every time your so says oh my god that's so unfair, you break up with them and go out drinking. Sometimes you have to spend years with itty people to realize what you deserve. It was never a waste. You needed the experience to figure out what works best for you or what to avoid. You'll never forget your exes. They were there for a reason. Conversely, sometimes you need to spend years in bad relationships with good people before you realize that you're being a itty person. Sometimes it's hard to see and harder to admit. Guy here. This probably sounds simple, but here's what I've learned. Know yourself, where you're at in life. If you're in a it storm, legal it, money it, drugs and alcohol it, legal it, you're probably not ready for anything serious. Clean up your act first. Be honest. No matter how fricked up it is, if you want to move forward in a serious way, all the cards got to be on the table. Take it slow, get to know each other, but in the end no secrets. There is some it that is nobody's business, but I ain't talking about that. Know her, what she's been through, and what she wants out of life. You both need to be pretty much on board. You need to be heading for the same thing. Kids, buy a house or gypsy life, don't matter. Keep a sharp eye on things. You need to make sure she's doing okay and let her know you're doing okay. Same with her to you. After that it's just dodging stupid. Relationships are work. They aren't always fun, you won't always be madly in love, and you can't put them on a shelf and ignore them. But they shouldn't be all work. Always be mindful and thoughtful to that person's love map. Like they might need a quick text every morning when you get to work letting them know you're safe. Makes zero sense to you, but knowing it's something small and means the world to them, well, why the hell not? They might get stressed out and you helping to clean the house for when they've finished work might mean more to them than someone else you've been with who wanted flowers to show love. Know what it is that your partner loves and makes them feel loved too. Makes zero sense to you, but knowing it's something small and means the world to them, well, why the hell not? This is the thing. I've been told before that doing this is fake, but what could be more genuine than doing something for someone because you love them and you know it makes them happy? When someone shows you who they are, believe them. If they're mean, if they're vindictive, if they use you, if they show you that they don't really care about you, believe them. If they make you feel inadequate, on edge, scared, nervous, unworthy, or like a disappointment, believe them. If they're entitled, narcissistic, sociopathic, manipulative, or unfair, believe them. Life isn't a movie. You can't fix people who don't want to be fixed. More often than not they just are who they are. So take off the rose-colored glasses and stop thinking love will find a way. If it isn't working, change it. Don't spend your precious time lamenting over a person who wouldn't genuinely lament over you. This sounds bleak, I know, but relationships and love are supposed to be the most beautiful thing in the universe. If your relationship is not improving your quality of life on the aggregate, you need to seriously reassess what you want in life, because you deserve better. You only get so much time to find people in your life that make it worth living. Don't get caught up on people who will make you wish you never lived it.